Hey, you made it. I just rewatched No Country for Old Men after quite a few years of not watching it, and I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed this film. And there's something in particular that caught my eye right off the bat with this film, and that is the music. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what music? And that is exactly the point. Every single tense scene in this movie is quiet. There is no music at all. All you get is the sounds, the ambient noises, the noises of footsteps, the noise of a phone ringing, the noise of someone's feet scraping along the floor as they're being strangled to death. It's just crazy, but it's done in such an insanely good way that just builds up the suspense so much. It's almost like edge of your seat for every single scene with Chigurh in it. Like, it is just done in such an incredible way, and I really, really enjoyed that aspect of the film. When I first watched it, I didn't really understand it very much. I didn't really understand the message of the film, and I definitely didn't notice the lack of music. But when it got to Llewelyn being killed, I kind of felt sideswiped by it. I sort of felt this is a bit of an anticlimax, and why is he dead? Why did we never get to see the fight with him and Chigurh? I do kind of still feel like that. I would have really enjoyed to have seen him trying to prep and just getting squashed essentially by someone who's just a ruthless murderer. But I think that is the point of the film. It's just to show that he is just an unstoppable killing machine, and he is ruthless in every single aspect. He doesn't care who it is, or what it's for. If you're in the way of him, you're dead. Even if you're not in the way of him, if you just look at him the wrong way, he's just going to kill you. It's just crazy. The only people that make it out alive on camera are those two kids right at the end that give him the shirt. Like, Chigurh is such a well-written character in that regard, and the actor who plays him, Javier Bardem, does a really, really good job at this, of just playing someone who just seems like a complete psychopath, who is a complete psychopath. I've seen other films before where they try to portray psychopaths, but this is probably one of the best renditions I've seen. He doesn't have emotion either way of things. There's no happiness, there's no sadness, he is just there. He is just calm, cool, collected, and ready to just murder everyone without a moment's notice. It's one of the things that makes the film so great, in my opinion, this constant cat and mouse between Llewelyn and Chigurh, and thinking, maybe Llewelyn actually stands a chance against this guy, who brutally murders every single person he comes across on screen. The only two people you don't see him murder are Llewelyn's wife and that guy in the accounting office, and potentially the sheriff at the end. I'm really unsure as to whether he was actually in the room or if it's set at a different time, because I fail to see why he wouldn't just kill the sheriff at that point, but I'm not entirely sure on that one. But you can tell it's implied that the guy in the accounting office is dead because he said, well, did you see me? So obviously he's going to be dead. And Llewelyn's wife gave the whole, you don't have to do this. And the clapback from Chigurh there is just insane. Everyone always says that. And he just says it in such like a blasé way, like it's like, why do you say that? I'm going to kill you anyway. You had nothing to do with this, but just purely based on morals, I'm going to kill you. It's just such a well-written character and such a well-written story. Another thing, maybe so much that I didn't like. The thing I didn't like so much, though, is the Carlson Wells sort of subplot in the way that he's incredibly resourceful. He finds Llewelyn so quickly, quicker than Chigurh does, and then gets crept up on by Chigurh and killed. He doesn't even seem to notice it, but I guess it's trying to imply that Chigurh is just a ruthless killing machine. Nothing can stand in his way, nothing can escape his grasp. That scene where him and Carlson are in the hotel room, that actually made me jump when that phone rang. That is what I'm talking about with the lack of music. It was so tense, there was nothing else going on, phone rings, he's dead. It was just such a good scene, I really enjoyed it for that aspect. But there's also a real aspect of tragedy to this film, the fact that Llewelyn finds the money, gets out of there, and then goes back to give that guy water. And that's what sparks the whole thing. That singular choice, that singular act of kindness at the start is what basically kills his entire family and him. And it's just such a sad and tragic story. Like, a lot of people don't like the ending because it's an anticlimax in the sense that you don't see the big fight, and Chigurh just gets away and doesn't do anything with it. It just ends with the sheriff, played by Tommy Lee Jones, just explaining why he doesn't want to be a sheriff anymore, why he doesn't want to be in the police force. I think the thing that got me about the ending, and particularly the sheriff and the resignation, is sort of accepting that the world has changed so much since he started being a sheriff that he doesn't even recognise the crimes that happen anymore. And I've noticed this a lot with those films and TV shows set within the 1980s, especially in Mindhunter, where it's like, people don't know how to deal with this new wave of crime, these new things that are happening. In these areas, they're just used to like a shootout between one or two people. They're not used to these big, weird serial killer crimes, or like that Ed Bell references it in the film, talks about that person who was killing people and burying them in the backyard. Clearly he is disturbed by the way the world is now. He's not prepared to deal with that as a police officer, and it just kind of, it makes sense why he wants to quit and why it's called No Country for Old Men, obviously. Because as he's got older, the world has changed so much and policing has changed so much that he's no longer able to deal with that. He's no longer capable of dealing with that. And I mean, rightfully so. You've watched Chigurh plow through everybody he's come across, kill them ruthlessly, and I have no issue with that. Originally, when I watched it, I hated the ending. I really, really wanted to see the action scene, but I get what they mean now, and I understand what the whole purpose of it was. It's not to show you the shootout, it's just to show how brutal the world really is. This guy just came in, killed everyone to do with the money, and then disappeared with the money, and that was it. There was just nothing. He's just a crazed killer, and there is no one that can stop him at all, and that is the message of the film, in my opinion. I really did like Josh Brolin's portrayal of Llewelyn, though. I did, again, think he did a really good job of the acting. Same with Tommy Lee Jones as the sheriff. And also Kelly MacDonald as Carly Jean Moss. I thought they all did a really, really standout job of playing the characters. The character development throughout the film is quite nicely done. It just sets things up very nicely to just be tragic. No one escapes. It's not often in filmmaking that the protagonist dies. The protagonist does not win. And in this film, the protagonist has no chance. From the get-go, you already know he's screwed. He's being pursued non-stop, and then he dies. And it's just such a sideswipe. But again, I really like it for that, looking back on it and watching it again. I think that it is really well done in the fact that no one escapes this guy. No one survives. There is no hero. There is no big hurrah and you've won and you've got away with the $2 million. There is none of that. There is just death and destruction in the path of this serial killer. And that is it. And that's what makes it such a good film, in my opinion. Anyway, this has been a bit of a positive review, because normally I kind of just slate shows and... I thought I'd try and give a positive one today, but if you've been watching me for a while, you might notice that this is a much better video quality than normal. I finally got a camera upgrade, so I hope you guys approve. If you've made it this far in the video, please make sure you subscribe. It'll really help the channel out. I hope we keep making these videos for you guys. And with that, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.